There are wounds deeply etched on the body, like imprints of time, memories that can never fade of stormy days. But do you know? There are wounds that leave no scars on the skin, do not bleed, and no one can see, only the one who carries them can feel them. These are cuts in the soul, injuries that have carved deeply into the heart and shaped who you are in ways you may have never realized. Have you ever looked in the mirror and asked yourself, why do I always feel uneasy even when everything seems fine? Why do I care about others more than myself, even when it hurts me? Why can't I let others help, even when I am exhausted? Why do I pursue perfection, as if even the smallest mistake could make everything collapse? Why do I always have to hide my true emotions, building walls that no one can touch? If these questions make you pause for a moment, then perhaps, deep inside, you have also endured invisible wounds. These wounds are not just memories of the past. They have silently shaped the way you love, the way you fear, the way you protect yourself, and even the way you walk on your life's journey. But the important thing is, pain is not the end, it is a chapter in your story. If you are reading these lines, I believe you are not here by chance. The Peaceful Mind in Life channel is not just a place to share knowledge, but a space for those seeking healing, understanding, and inner peace. We do not tell you to just forget it or be strong as if the pain never existed. Instead, we believe that strength does not lie in hiding your wounds, but in how you face them and transform them into power. Because even the deepest wounds can become a source of motivation, and even hearts that have once been broken can shine again. And you deserve that. In this video, we will explore 5 characteristics of those who have endured too much suffering. Signs that not only reflect what you have been through, but also reveal hidden strengths you may have never realized. Are you ready? Let's embark on this journey together. Signs 1. Deep empathy. Feeling the pain of others. There is a truth that only those who have experienced deep pain can understand. Deep empathy is not a choice, but something that has been naturally imprinted into their being. Like metal forged in fire, their souls become more sensitive, more refined, and at times, more vulnerable. These individuals do not just see the pain of others, they feel it. They do not need words, just a fleeting glance. A heavy sigh, a forced smile is enough. They can stand in the middle of a crowd and sense that someone is carrying an invisible wound. They hear silent cries for help, even when no words are spoken. But deep empathy is not always a gift sometimes. It is a curse. Imagine this. You walk into a cafe where people are chatting and laughing. Someone enters and sits in a distant corner, quietly gazing out the window. To most, they are just another customer. But to you, they are someone carrying an untold story, someone struggling with an invisible pain. You visit a friend's home and instantly recognize that they are having a bad day. Not because they say so, but because something in their eyes, in the way they smile, it no longer shines the way it used to. You feel the heaviness in their voice, as if the weight of the world is pressing down on their shoulders. You cannot ignore these things, even though sometimes you wish you could. Most people see a sad face and move on, but you don't. The pain of others runs through you like an electric current. You feel it, even when no one says a word, and it drains you. You are the one who stays late at work because you know your colleague is struggling. You are the one who answers a call in the middle of the night because you understand how loneliness can torment a person. You are the one who reaches out, even when you yourself are exhausted. But who heals the healer? Have you ever asked yourself that? There are days when you are completely drained, yet you still force a smile so no one has to worry. There are moments when you just wish someone would care about you the way you care about everyone else. But the truth is, those with deep empathy are often misunderstood as being too strong, too stable, too self-sufficient. And that makes you feel alone. Deep empathy doesn't come from luck. It comes from pain. Empathy is not a skill that anyone can simply learn. It is forged in the fire of suffering and the countless nights when you felt invisible. In the mornings, when you woke up longing for just one thing, for someone to truly understand you. You understand the pain of others because you have been there. Listen to others because you once desperately wanted to be heard. You never turn your back on anyone because you know the agony of being abandoned. Your empathy is a gift. Yes, it exhausts you, but it also makes you different. It makes you a safe place for the lost, a small light in someone's darkest days. You don't just listen, you understand. You don't just see, you feel. And even though you sometimes feel lonely in your empathy, remember this: you are not weak. You are exactly what this world needs. Because in a world where everyone is rushing, where everyone is too busy to care, empathy is the rare stand most precious thing of all. Have you ever wondered why you always prioritize others over yourself? Why, even when you are exhausted, you still push yourself to listen, to help, to heal those around you? Perhaps you once had a lonely childhood where no one truly listened to you. You once cried for help, but no one recognized your silent pleas. Perhaps you once longed for someone to look deep into your eyes and say, "I understand. I am here with you." But when that never happened, you unconsciously made a promise to yourself: "I will never let anyone feel as alone as I once did." And from that moment on, you became a listener, a person who cannot ignore the pain of others, a person who reaches out even when no one reaches back. When empathy becomes exhausting, deep empathy is beautiful, but it can also drain you. When you constantly put the needs of others above your own, you forget something important. You also deserve to be loved. You also deserve to be cared for. Do you notice that you often feel mentally exhausted because you absorb too many emotions from others? You struggle to say no to those who need help, even when you are completely drained. You feel responsible for the emotions of others, as if it's your duty to make them happy. You frequently feel burned out because you spend all your energy worrying about others without checking in on yourself. If your answer is yes, then it's time to set boundaries for yourself. Because if you keep giving without receiving, one day you will have nothing left to give. How to stay empathetic without losing yourself. You can still be a deeply empathetic person without allowing it to consume you. Set clear boundaries. You cannot be everyone's savior. No one can. Learn to say no when you truly cannot help. It does not make you selfish, it means you are protecting yourself so that you can continue to help in a sustainable way. Do not take responsibility for other people's emotions. You can care. You can listen. But you cannot carry all their sadness, all their pain. Everyone has their own journey, and you cannot walk it for them. Take time to care for yourself. Do not spend all your energy worrying about others while neglecting yourself. Ask yourself, am I really okay today? Take time to do things that make you happy, whether it's reading, listening to music, going for a walk, or simply relaxing for a day. Surround yourself with people who care about you too. Not everyone is worthy of your deep empathy. Find people who appreciate you, who also care about your emotions, and who are willing to listen when you need them. Remember, you deserve love too. You are not just someone who listens. You are also someone who deserves to be heard. You are not just someone who helps. You are also someone who deserves help. You are not just someone who loves. You are also someone who deserves to be loved. The world needs people who can feel, who can understand, who can help without needing words. But remember this: you do not have to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders. Continue to be a light, but do not forget to keep some light for yourself. Continue to love, but do not forget that you also need love. Continue to help, but do not forget that sometimes you also need a shoulder to lean on. Because deep empathy does not mean suffering alone. It means learning to give in a way that does not break you. And when you learn that, you are not just an empathetic person, you become truly strong. Signs 2. Extreme independence. When you don't dare to trust Anyan. I don't need anyone. Perhaps this is a phrase you have told yourself thousands of times. A proud declaration. A strong shield. A statement that you are strong enough to weather any storm without relying on anyone. But is that really true? Or is it just a way to protect yourself from being hurt? On the surface, independence may appear to be a sign of high self-esteem, of absolute confidence. But if you look deeper, you will see that extreme independence is not. Strength is the result of betrayal, abandonment, and moments of vulnerability that no one ever acknowledged. You were not born this way. There was a time when you too longed to lean on someone. But then, life taught you a harsh lesson. Every time you opened your heart, someone hurt you. And so, brick by brick, you built your emotional fortress. You do everything yourself, from small tasks like carrying heavy bags alone instead of asking for help, to bigger things like refusing relationships that could potentially hurt you. You never ask for directions, even when you are lost. You never let anyone see you cry. You never show your weaknesses. You have learned that trusting others is a risky gamble. But does that make you happier? Extreme independence is not a choice, it is a defense mechanism. You once trusted, you once hoped, you once relied on someone. But then you realized, not everyone keeps their promises. Not everyone is trustworthy. Not everyone stays when you need them the most. And each time you were let down, you withdrew a little more. You became accustomed to doing everything alone, making your own decisions, never giving anyone the chance to disappoint you again. You learned how to heal yourself because you knew that no one else would truly be there to do it for you. But there is one truth you may not want to face. You don't need any internet because you don't want to, but because you are afraid that opening up will hurt you again. At first, independence was your protective shield. It kept you safe from unnecessary pain, gave you control over your life. But over time, it became a prison you locked yourself in, afraid to let anyone step inside. Do you recognize yourself in these patterns? You hate asking for help because it makes you feel weak and dependent. You don't share your struggles with others because you believe they won't truly understand, or worse, they might walk away if they see you struggling. You don't like relying on anyone because you have been abandoned before, and you don't want to experience that pain again. You find it difficult to open up in relationships because you fear that loving someone too much will give them the power to hurt you. And then, one day, you realize that you are lonelier than ever. Not because no one is around, but because you never allowed anyone to truly touch your soul. Imagine this. One day, you are exhausted. Life throws challenges at you that are too big to handle alone. And for the first time, you realize that you cannot carry everything by yourself. But when you look around, no one is there. Not because they don't care, but because you never let them in. You can be independent for a lifetime, but that doesn't mean you have to be lonely for a lifetime. The truth is, you don't have to face everything alone. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to keep your heart closed forever. There are people who are truly worthy of your trust, but you will never find them if you keep pushing everyone away. Learning to trust without losing yourself. Independence is not a bad thing, but extreme independence can cost you the meaningful connections in life. So how can you stay strong without isolating yourself? Learn to trust selectively. Not everyone is trustworthy, but that doesn't mean no one is. Open your heart little by little to those who have proven they genuinely care about you. Allow yourself to ask for help. Asking for help does not make you weak. In reality, it is a sign of maturity and self-awareness. Start small, ask a friend for a small favor, share a minor worry. You might be surprised at how much support is waiting for you. Accept that vulnerability is a part of life. You cannot love without risk. You cannot trust without the possibility of betrayal. But if you never take the risk, you will also miss out on the most beautiful experiences life has to offer. Don't let past pain dictate your future. You have been hurt before, but that doesn't mean everyone in the world will hurt you. Give yourself a chance to be loved and understood. Remember, you are not an island. You can stand on your own 2 feet. But sometimes, it is good to have someone beside you, walking with you. This question terrifies you, because if someone truly tries to step past your walls, you will have to face one undeniable truth. You don't actually want to be alone. You are just afraid of being hurt again. There will be people who are patient with you. There will be people who want to enter your life not to hurt you, but to make you happier. But they can only do so if you give them a chance. So, will you continue to cling to your armor? Or will you allow yourself to trust once more? Because deep down, you know this. You don't actually want to be alone. You are just waiting for someone patient enough to take your hand and say, you don't have to do everything alone anymore. Signs 3. Pursuing perfection when you never feel good enough. There is a thin line between striving for success and perfectionism, and perhaps you have crossed that line long ago without even realizing it. You don't just want success, you need to be perfect. You don't just want to do well, you want to do better than everyone else. You check your email 3 times before hitting send. You scrutinize every word in your messages, editing and rewriting them over and over, afraid that something still isn't quite right. You are never truly satisfied with your work because, in your eyes, there is always room for improvement. But no matter how hard you try, no matter how many achievements you accumulate, you never feel like it's enough. Why? Perhaps, from a young age, you learned a cruel lesson. Love doesn't come naturally to you, you have to earn it. You once longed for a word of praise from your parents, from your teachers, from those who mattered most in your life. And you discovered that only when you excelled, when you scored high marks, when you were better than others were you recognized. Gradually, success was no longer something you pursued out of joy or passion. You chased it for something deeper, the fear of not being loved. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, am I striving for myself, or am I driven by the fear that if I'm not perfect, I won't be worthy? The lie of perfectionism. You believe that if you are perfect, you will be accepted. You believe that if you never make mistakes, you will never be criticized. You believe that if you do everything flawlessly, you will never feel unworthy. But is that really true? Are you truly happy with what you have achieved? Or do you always feel like it's still not enough, like you need to try harder, like you can't stop? The truth is, perfection will never protect you from feeling unworthy. It only exhausts you more. How many times have you accomplished something great, only to ask yourself, moments later, what's next? Was that really good enough? Did anyone even notice how much effort I put in? You never allow yourself to enjoy your victories, because the moment you reach a milestone, you set an even higher standard. You are afraid to stop, because stopping means facing the emptiness inside. Perfectionism doesn't make you strong, Garrett, makes you more exhausted. Perfectionism doesn't make you stronger. It doesn't make you more lovable. It makes you feel alone. You refuse to leave a task unfinished, even when you are drained. You refuse to make mistakes, even when you know that everyone does. You refuse to stop pushing yourself, even when your heart is screaming for rest. But be honest with yourself. Are you truly happy? Or are you just running endlessly, trying to prove something that even you aren't sure of? Here is a truth you may not want to hear. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You don't have to achieve something grand to have worth. You don't have to push yourself to exhaustion just to prove that you matter. You have always mattered from the very moment you existed in this world. Are you living for yourself or for recognition? Pause for a moment. Close your eyes. Ask yourself one question. Am I striving for myself or for someone else? If no one was watching, if no one was judging, if no one had expectations, would you still want to be perfect? If your answer is no, then maybe you have been chasing perfection not because of passion, but because of fear. Fear of being judged. Fear of being abandoned. Fear that if you are not talented, not perfect, you will not be valued. But you have value even when you are not perfect. You don't need to be the best. You just need to be yourself. How to let go of perfection without losing your drive. You can still pursue greatness without letting perfectionism drain you. Learn to accept mistakes. You are not a machine. You are human. And humans make mistakes. That is part of growth. Ask yourself, who am I doing this for? Before setting a new standard for yourself, ask, do I really want this? Or am I just trying to please someone? Learn to pause and celebrate. When you achieve something, allow yourself to celebrate. Don't just rush to the next milestone. Take a moment to appreciate how far you've come. Remember that your worth is not in your achievements. You are not just what you accomplish. You are the moments you love, the moments you share, the moments you are real. Learn to love yourself even when you're not perfect. You don't have to be perfect to deserve love, care, and happiness. You deserve it right now exactly as you are. Have you ever realized that the people you love the most are not perfect, but they are real? The happiest moments in your life were not when you achieved something great, but when you felt truly loved without having to try. You don't have to be perfect to be accepted. You don't have to be exceptional to deserve love. You don't have to constantly prove yourself to have value. You are already enough, right now, in this very moment. And when you truly understand that, you don't have to keep running anymore. Signs 4. Hiding emotions. When tears become a luxury. Don't let them see you cry. How many times have you told yourself that? How many times have you clenched your teeth, swallowed your emotions, and pretended nothing was wrong while deep inside you were screaming? Every time you were hurt, you added another brick to the emotional wall around you. You smiled even when your heart was breaking. You changed the subject whenever someone asked about your feelings. You are great at listening, yet you have never truly spoken about yourself. You have grown too accustomed to keeping everything inside because you believe that showing emotions is a sign of weakness. You believe that if you reveal your pain, someone will take advantage of it. You believe that if you let others see your wounds, they will walk away. But do you know something? The wall you built does not just keep pain out, it also keeps love out. You may have learned how to hide your tears, but in doing so, you have also lost the chance for someone to truly understand you. Have you noticed? You are always the one who listens, but never the one who shares. You easily help others with their pain, but you don't know how to handle your own. You avoid conversations about emotions because you don't know what to say when someone asks, "Are you okay?" You feel more comfortable being alone than trying to let someone in. You fear the vulnerability that comes with showing your wounds. If any of this feels familiar, then you are not emotionless. You have just become used to burying everything inside. At some point, you learn that showing emotions is risky. Maybe as a child, every time you cried, someone told you, "Be strong. Don't be weak." Maybe someone once left when you showed too many emotions. Maybe you trusted someone only for them to use your vulnerability against you. And so, you learned. Expressing emotions means taking a risk. So you stopped crying. You stopped sharing. You stopped letting people in. But here's the problem. You cannot shut the door on pain and still expect love to come in. Your walls do not just stop the tears from falling. They also prevent real connection with those around you. You might think you are protecting your heart, but in reality, you are only locking yourself in loneliness. Have you ever asked yourself why you are so afraid of expressing emotions? You are not emotionless. You are not cold-hearted. Deep inside, your emotions are more intense than anyone else's, but you are too afraid to show them because you fear that if someone sees your pain, they will leave. If you appear weak, they will lose respect for you. If you show your true emotions, you will be hurt again. You have tried to open up before, but it didn't go as you hoped. So you decided, never again. You chose to hide everything, to bury your sadness beneath forced smiles, to pretend everything was uneven. When your heart was shattered, you became a strong wall, but inside you are slowly losing yourself. Ask yourself, is there someone patient enough to see through the walls I've built? Am I willing to let them try? Right now, you might not believe that anyone can truly understand you. But if you never give anyone the chance to step inside, how will you know if they would have stayed? If you never try to open up, how will you know if someone would have cherished the things you've kept locked away? You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to be okay all the time. You don't have to hide your pain to be loved. Because the people who truly love you will not leave just because you have a bad day. You don't have to tear down your walls immediately. Just start with small steps. Allow yourself to feel. When you are sad, acknowledge that you are sad. When you are angry, allow yourself to be angry. Stop forcing yourself to suppress everything. Share a little with someone you trust. Try sharing one small thing with someone you truly trust. You don't have to tell them everything, but just a little so you can see that you are not alone. Accept that not everyone will understand, and that's okay. Not everyone will understand you immediately, but the ones who truly care will stay and try to. Learn to cry when needed. Crying does not make you weak. Crying does not mean you have failed. Sometimes, crying is how you heal. Remember, you deserve love, even when you're not perfect. You don't have to pretend to be strong to deserve love. You deserve love even when you are vulnerable, even when you are hurting, even when you cannot control your emotions. Let someone see the real you. You have spent too many years avoiding your own emotions. You have gotten used to locking your heart away, but one day, you will realize that loneliness is not protection, it is punishment. So why not try? Why not try giving someone the chance to understand you? Why not try believing that there are people who won't leave even when they see you at your most imperfect? Because you don't have to hide to be loved. You don't have to build walls to feel safe. Just once let someone truly see the real you. And maybe, just maybe, you will realize that love was never out there, it has always been here. Just waiting for you to open your heart. You are always the one who listens, but never the one who shares. You easily help others with their pain, but you don't know how to handle your own. You avoid conversations about emotions because you don't know what to say when someone asks, "Are you okay?" You feel more comfortable being alone than trying to let someone in. You fear the vulnerability that comes with showing. Signs 5. The need for control. When uncertainty becomes an obsession. If I don't control everything, it will all fall apart. Maybe you don't say it out loud, but deep down, you truly believe that if you don't personally manage everything, things will go wrong. You check the door lock 3 times before going to bed. You panic when plans suddenly change. You feel uneasy when someone does things differently from you. You need everything to go exactly as planned, not because you are a perfectionist, but because you fear losing control. But are you truly controlling life? Or is your life being controlled by fear? The illusion of control. Control makes you feel safe. When everything is in your hands, you know what will happen. You know what to do. And nothing can catch you off guard. You avoid risks. You prevent failure. You shield yourself from unnecessary pain. But look deep inside your mind. Are you really in control? Or are you simply trapped in a never-ending cycle of fear? The truth is, the more you try to control everything, the more anxious you feel. You worry when plans change. You feel tense when someone doesn't follow your way. You hate surprises because you don't know what's coming. But the scariest thing is, no matter how much you try to control everything, there will always be things beyond your reach. And that very reality terrifies you. Have you ever noticed that the happiest moments in life are not the ones you controlled, but the ones where you let go? The spontaneous trips without a strict plan. The conversations that flowed naturally without a script. The moments when you laughed uncontrollably over something unexpected. Were those moments part of a plan? But those were the moments when you felt the freest. Perhaps you haven't realized it yet, but life is not a math problem where every variable can be controlled. Life is a song full of unpredictable notes. You can try to control everything, but you cannot force life to go exactly your way. So why do you keep trying? Ask yourself, if I let go of control, what's the worst that could happen? Maybe you fear getting hurt, because if you don't control everything, someone might do something that breaks your heart. Failure, because if you don't control everything, you might make mistakes. Being abandoned, because if you don't control everything, someone might leave, and you won't be able to stop them. The unknown, because you don't know the outcome, and that uncertainty terrifies you. But do you realize that no matter how much you try to control things, those fears can still come true? And more importantly, good things can happen too, but you'll never know if you keep trying to control everything. The more you control, the less safe you feel. You believe that if you control everything, you'll be safe. But the truth is, the more you try to control, the more anxious you become. The more you try to control, the more stressed you feel. You never truly relax. And most importantly, you are not really living. You are just fighting against things that cannot be controlled. You can't control the weather, but you can enjoy the rain. You can't control other people, but you can learn to love without fear. You can't control the future, but you can enjoy the present. Learning to let go without losing yourself. You don't have to give up everything, but you can learn to let go of what cannot be controlled. Accept that you cannot control everything. The truth is, no one can fully control life. Accepting this is the first step to feeling lighter and freer. Learn to adapt to change. Instead of panicking when plans change, try asking yourself, maybe this change will lead to something better that I hadn't considered? Accept that mistakes are part of life. You fear making mistakes, but mistakes don't make you a failure. They help you grow. Stop trying to control others. You cannot change people to fit your expectations. Instead of trying to control, learn to respect differences. Learn to trust. Try trusting yourself. Try trusting life. Try trusting the people around you. You'll be surprised how often things naturally fall into place, sometimes even better than your plan. Letting go does not mean giving up. It means allowing life to happen. You have spent your whole life trying to control everything. But are you truly enjoying life? Are you truly happy? Or are you just constantly stressed, trying to keep everything in order? Try this just once. Don't plan everything. Don't try to fix every problem immediately. Don't panic when things don't go as expected. Let life guide you instead of you constantly trying to control life. You might be surprised to find that the most beautiful things happen when you stop controlling and allow life to unfold naturally. Because happiness doesn't come from holding on to everything tightly, it comes from knowing when to let go. What you've been through doesn't make you weak, it proves you survived. But even armor can become a burden. Will you dare to let go? To be healed? To be loved? You don't have to fight forever. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is learn to trust again. Everything you've been through does not make you weak, it proves that you have survived. But do you want to keep carrying everything alone forever? Maybe it's time to let go. Let go of control. Let go of fear. Let go of the walls you've built so you can be loved, be healed, and truly live. You don't have to be perfect to be worthy. You don't have to be strong all the time. You deserve love right now, exactly as you are. Give yourself a chance to open your heart, to trust, and to embrace happiness. If these words touched your heart, Hawaii to subscribe. Continue this journey of self-discovery and healing. And don't forget to leave a comment, because you are not alone on this path.